ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన NSR ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ NSR ఇంపల్స్.
Now, so we were discussing about the tables about scientists and the discoveries. So let me give you tables. We are just going ahead with the concept after the concept. Along with the concept, along with the leaf modifications, what we discussed for the last class, leaf modifications. You know, I have given the block diagram, very clearly block diagram. So dividing into three categories, two categories first, and then into again unifoliate, bifoliate, unipinnate, bipinnate, pinnately compound leaf, palmately compound leaf. So that block diagrams try to practice along with the examples, right. So just giving a concept after the concept, and just we are just not completing the table. So let me come back to the table. Let me give you one or two scenarios here, one or two few things to remember, then we can enter into the concept, right. So if you take this here, let me talk about the scientist name, and let me talk about discovery, scientist name and discovery. So here let me say about Mendel. Mendel is a scientist who is referred as father of genetics. So whenever you get the simple question, very simple question, why you refer someone as the father here? So father of genetics means his effort is more for development of the branch called genetic. So guys, in our life sciences we have different number of branches, cytology, morphology, anatomy, like the different branches are there. One of the great branch, one of the most familiar branch and very interesting and great research work is going on nowadays. Even in terms of technology we talk, genetics has lot of priority. Nowadays our scientists, they give lot of priority to the experts who know the knowledge of the branch called genetics. Genetics speaks about the genes. Genetics speaks about the genes. What are genes? You know it very well. As long earlier we know that we studied. Suppose if you take this cell, this is the cell. Inside the cell what you find? Nucleus is there. Inside the nucleus what you find? Genetic material. What is the genetic material? Genetic material is called DNA, or it may be RNA. So if you take the DNA out, it will be like this, on which you find what are called genes. Very interesting, right? The genes describes the genetic characters. The expression of genetic characters is in the hand of DNA. DNA is a genetic material where you find within the nucleus. The branch of science which deals with the study of genes is called genetics. Now who is a great scientist who kept lot of effort in the study of genetics is Mendel. So Mendel is considered as the father of genetics. Now what was the discovery here? Now he studied the laws of inheritance by studying hybridization method in pea plant. Now this itself is called plant breeding. So what are the discoveries? First of all, he discovered about loss of inheritance. What is that loss of inheritance? What is meant by inheritance? Transfer of genetic characters from parent to offspring. Transfer of genetic characters from one generation to other generation, it's called inheritance. What's the meaning of inheritance? In means within the generation. You know, in Telugu people generally say, no, Vamsha Paramparanga. If some of the characteristics of grandson, if they look similar to that of grandfather, then generally people will say, no, okay, grandson got received exactly the same characteristics as like his grandfather. That means Vamsha Paramparanga, they use the term in Telugu, right? That means the characters what are seen in early generation are the same characters got transferred even to the other generations. So, grandfather to grandson, father to son, grandmother to granddaughter, or grandmother to grandson, or mother to son, mother to daughter, father to son. If some genetic characters are same, if they get transferred, it's called inheritance. Inheritance means hereditary. Hereditary characters are transferred within the generation. Inheritance. I hope you all got the meaning. What is inheritance? Transfer of genetic characters from one generation to other generation. It's called inheritance. How characters are getting transferred? So, there are some laws was defined by Mendel to understand inheritance. Okay, right. So, Mendel has given certain processes, certain methods called laws. With that laws, they could able to understand how characters are getting transferred from one generation to other generation. They are called laws of inheritance. See, such a great effort was given by Mendel based upon genetics, genes today, what not. So many wonderful discoveries are happening in the branch of life sciences. Right. Next, and what is the method he employed is hybridization method. He used hybridization method and done experiment on pea plant. In which plant he has done the experiment? Suppose you get a question that on which plant Mendel has done the experiment, then you have to remember pea plant. Guys, did you remember earlier I gave scientific name? Pea plant is a common name. If you remember, for the last classes I gave scientific name for pea plant. What is that? Did you remember? Anybody remember? Are you all practicing? It's nothing but Pisum sativum. What is the scientific name of the pea plant? That is nothing but Pisum sativum. You have to remember the scientific name along with the common name. And that method of transfer of characters was studied within the plant. It's called plant breeding. I think you are most familiar with the terminology called breeding. What is breeding here? Nothing, simply people will take two plants. Let's select one plant. Early ancient farmer also knows this. Let us take plant A and let us take plant B here. Now what they do? They cross these two plants. Crossing of two plants and gives an offspring. So the offspring what you find here, have the combination of both parental characters. So you took A plant, another B plant. If both plants are crossed, by crossing, how do you do crossing? That's called hybridization. In coming classes, we are going to discuss in detail about hybridization. Presently, what you can understand, hybridization is nothing but crossing, one of the method of crossing. By crossing these two plants here, we get the daughter plant, offspring plant. This offspring plant have characteristics of both A plant and B plant. Few characteristics are common which it get from A plant and from B plant. So that is what is called plant breeding. This is a breed. This is a breed for breed of A and B plant. Okay, what do you call this? This is a breed of A and B plant. That is a method called as plant breeding. Hybridization is one of the method of plant breeding. Hopefully you got it, right? I repeat again. So let us talk about the scientist name today who has done wonderful efforts in a branch called genetics. So it's referred as father of genetics. We have a good story about Mendel in second year. You are going to study, but in first year you have the scientist list in chapter number 3. Anyway, so remember the scientist name Mendel and is considered as the father of genetics for his great effort towards genetics. Right. Then what did he study and what did he discover? Look at here. He studied and given laws of inheritance and hybridization method, where experiment is done in which plant? On pea plant. What is the scientific name of the pea plant? Remember all of you, Physum sativum, and that is a method called plant breeding. Right. Now, apart from this, you can take another scientist name. So, better let me write here itself. Here you can take Jensen and Jensen. They introduced what is called as compound microscope. Okay, Jensen and Jensen are the two, actually there are two people, Francis Jensen and Zacharias Jensen. Anyway, the two people were discovered, Jensen and Jensen are the two people, they introduced and designed, constructed the first compound microscope. So, today I am giving a table having the two scientists. Guys, I repeat, table number 1, we are discussing scientific name and discovery here. Who is the first scientist? Mendel. Mendel has given laws of inheritance, hybridization method in pea plant. Scientific name for pea plant is Physum sativum. Sometimes if I ask you the question, which family it belongs to? Because we completed the names of the plant for Fabaceae. So, which family it belongs to? Fabaceae. Guys, did you remember? I have given scientific names for Fabaceae. Okay. So, Physum sativum, it belongs to family Fabaceae. What is Physum sativum? It is a pea plant. Who has done experiment on this? Mendel, and it is one of the method of plant breeding. Another scientist you remember, Jensen and Jensen, who introduced what is called compound microscope. Let us go to table number 2. Let us take table number 2. In table number 2, what we are discussing? So, in table number 2, we are discussing scientific name of the plant and we are discussing common name. Now, so far what all we discussed earlier, I have given scientific names and I have given common names to this, right. So, if you take this, now let us discuss about next family, Solanaceae. It is nothing but family name. Okay. So, we have altogether Fabaceae family. In that we saw what are the list of the plants which fall in Fabaceae. What did we discuss? Discussed like Cajanus cajan, Physum sativum, Dalbergia latifolia, Indian rosewood, Derris indica, Pterocarpus, Trigranella, right. So, this all plants, earlier what I gave you in table number 2, all plants belong to Fabaceae. Now, we are going to start with the family. The next family is called Solanaceae. What is the next family we are going to start? Solanaceae. Now, the family Solanaceae, I am giving you different plants. Let us take the first plant, Atropa belladonna. So, Atropa belladonna, common name itself, it is called belladonna. Okay. So, the scientific name is Atropa belladonna. The common name itself is called as what? Belladonna. Similarly, another plant, Capsicum frutescens. Frutescens. Nothing but, you know, the common name is chili. What is that? Capsicum frutescens is a scientific name for chili. You know the chili, right? Yeah. Then apart from this, It's called another, let us take another one, Cestrum nocturnum. Generally I will give you two scientist names, so two scientific names, but starts with C. C we have two names. Let us take it. What is the other scientific name? Cestrum nocturnum. It's commonly called night queen. It's commonly called as what? Night queen. So generally the Solanaceae family includes some of the vegetables. Most of the vegetables they fall in Solanaceae family. So Solanaceae family it's also called as vegetable family. Vegetables family. Why? Because most of the vegetables they fall in the category of the family. They belong to family called Solanaceae. That's why Solanaceae family is also called as vegetable family. Right? So in this I gave you today the three scientific names and three common names. What are three scientific names? Atropa belladonna starts with A here. What is the common name for this? Belladonna. Capsicum frutescens. What is the common name? Chili. Generally you know chili, mirchi we use it, right? Cestrum nocturnum, which is commonly called as what? Night queen. Why it's called night queen? It opens and flowers only in the night time. That's why it's called night queen. So these all belong to remember Solanaceae. So try to remember today. So table number 2 has scientific names and including what we have is nothing but common names. Now let us continue with the concept. Let me give you some questions. Last class we discussed about leaf part. So last class we studied about leaf part. Let me give you few questions on that. Let us discuss about one or two questions on that. For example, if the question is leaves originated from, okay, leaves originated from, then choose the option as from where the leaves will get originated. Last class we discussed about the leaf, types of leaves, and we discussed along with the types of leaf phyllotaxy we discussed, alternate and twisted, opposite, whorled phyllotaxy. Then even we discussed leaf modifications like tendrils, reproductive leaves, insectivorous, leaves part is completed. Let me give you one or two questions on the basics of leaves. Okay, suppose if you get simple basic question, leaves originated from, then what you will write? So most probably you have to choose the option as shoot apical meristem. Shoot apical meristem. Right. So here apart from this, sometimes you may get the question that the source of photosynthesis, or the source of food material, or sometimes you will get source of perception of light, or they may ask you that receptor of light. Then for all these things you have to choose the option as leaves. Okay, if at all the question is where photosynthesis will occur, where the source of food is there, food is stored in what form? We all know it is stored in the form of starch, right? Or who receives the light? Who is the receptor of light? Perception means receiving, same meaning. Perception of light or receptor of light, because we all know leaf is the one which receives the sunlight. So as leaf receives the sunlight and prepares the food, that's why it's called as source of perception of light or receptor of light. So for that you need to take even option as what? Leaves. Okay. So leaf may develop from apical meristem or from axillary bud, but mostly leaves are originated from shoot apical meristem. Sometimes such type of simple questions you have to answer them, you have to remember. They are nothing but very simple basics. We are still in the basics, right? So these are simple basic questions, right? Now leaves part is completed, leaf part is completed. Let us move on to the next topic. Next concept, inflorescence. Let us move on to next concept, inflorescence. Okay. So here let us start with inflorescence. What exactly is the meaning of inflorescence? Everybody know about the root, we completed the study of root, we know about the stem, we studied stem modifications, leaves we studied. Then what is next? Let us come to inflorescence. Then what is meant by inflorescence? So generally if you look at the main axis, so what I am writing here, this is nothing but shoot main axis, this is nothing but shoot main axis. Okay, this is nothing but apex, apex means tip we write. Okay, apex means generally we write tip, means apical part, means terminal part, apex means terminal part. On the terminal part if you look at, you can see arrangement of buds. So let us take, this is a flower, let us make it. Okay, then here you can see arrangement of buds. So these are young buds. So here we see the arrangement of buds, arrangement of buds on the main axis, on the main axis of shoot system. It's called inflorescence. Okay, what's the meaning of that? Arrangement of buds on the main axis of the shoot system. Where they are arranged? No doubt on the shoot axis. Where they are? On the apex, terminal part. Okay, the arrangement of buds on the main axis, this is main axis, main branch, main stem. Arrangement of buds on the main axis itself is called inflorescence. Then the main axis of the shoot system, you can write main axis or main shoot apex with buds, it's called peduncle. It's called peduncle. Okay, I repeat. The arrangement of buds on the main axis is called inflorescence. Okay, the arrangement of flowers on the main axis is called inflorescence. Then what do you call this main axis? The main axis, the apex of main axis on which the buds are arranged itself is called peduncle. This main axis is called peduncle. The main axis with buds is completely called inflorescence. I hope you got it, right? So indirectly what you can say, peduncle with buds is called inflorescence. What is the final conclusion? Peduncle, this is peduncle. What is this? This is nothing but peduncle. That is nothing but peduncle. Peduncle with the arrangement of buds is called inflorescence. Guys, I am telling you not to confuse with the terminologies. Not to confuse with the terminologies. What are the terminologies? So this is what you find. Later bud develops, and this is nothing but bud. What you find here? Bud. Bud develops into what? Bud develops into flower. Bud develops into later a flower. Then flower has a stalk. It may be with leaves or without leaves. Flower has a stalk. This is called as pedicel. What is a pedicel? The stalk of the flower. Okay. This is peduncle. This is pedicel. What is pedicel? The flower stalk of the flower. This is called pedicel. What is peduncle? The main axis with the arrangement of buds is called peduncle. Main shoot apex. Apex means terminal part from here to here. With the buds, with the arrangement of buds, it's called peduncle. So, what are the things not to get confused here? Let us take some note points. So, from now I will start giving what are called note points. Note points means a few key points which are very important for all of us to remember. From now I will start giving note points. Earlier I thought these all are starting classes, not to trouble you much, but let us start making out note points. Note points means question getting points where you need to stress, where these are the points you need to remember thoroughly, not to get confusion or to avoid confusion, right. So, if you take what is the things we have studied, so you know that petiole, whenever you get term petiole, what is the meaning of the petiole? What is a petiole? You know, stalk of the leaf is called petiole. I hope it is visible. So, I can write again, stalk of leaf. Yes or no, right? Stalk of the leaf is called petiole. This is the leaf. So, what do you call this? This is called petiole, stalk of the leaf. Just now we studied peduncle. What is peduncle? A main shoot axis with buds, right. So, here I say that I take this is the main axis on which buds are arranged, on which these buds are arranged. Now, this is what is called peduncle. Yes or no? This is what is called peduncle. Similarly, what we have discussed? Pedicel. Why I am writing all three as note points? All three starts with P. All three starts with P. Most of the people confuse with these terminologies. So, once again I am giving you under note points. Make sure that clearly you write down and clearly keep it in your mind, that is petiole, peduncle, pedicel. What is pedicel? Just now I told you it is nothing but what? Stalk of the flower. Stalk of the flower. So, on which you find the flower. So, the stalk of the flower it is called pedicel. Right. So, mostly people will confuse. Petiole means stalk of the leaf, peduncle means main axis with buds, pedicel means stalk of the flower. So, not to get confused with the P, terminologies look similar but having different meaning here. Try to remember all three P's in your mind. Next time in the coming classes, whenever I speak about peduncle, you need to have a clear meaning in your mind. Pedicel whenever I say, because in inflorescence we have different types. So, I will start writing pedicel, I will start writing peduncle. You need to know clear difference, and petiole you need to know very clearly it is nothing but stalk of the leaf. Pedicel means stalk of the flower and peduncle means main axis with buds, right. So, if you can keep this meaning very clearly in your mind, then followed by in the coming classes I will be making very commonly making use of these terminologies. Note down as note points, right. Now, coming to this, if you come back to this leaf, if you see, if you can see here, if you observe very clearly here, let us take here it is nothing but the flower. Let us take, I am drawing somewhat a bigger flower. So, this is completely a developed flower, let us imagine. If you see here, what you can find here, larger flowers are at the base. These are nothing but what? Larger flowers. Where larger flowers are present? these large flowers are present at the base of the stem, at the base of the peduncle, at the base of the stem. Larger I can also call older flowers. Larger, or I can call older flowers. Where they are present? They are present at the base of the stem. Then what about the younger flowers here? Okay. So what do you find here? Let me tell you very clearly again here. So what you find here? You can see very clearly, older flowers are a larger flowers. You can find older flowers or larger flowers. Where they are present? They are present at the base of the stem. Where they are present? They are present at the base of the stem. This is the stem. At the base of the stem you find older flowers or larger flowers. Where are the young flowers? Young or small flowers are present at the tip or apex of the stem. Young flowers are present at the tip or apex of the stem. Then what happens here? So older flowers are opens first, then young flowers are opens. So such type of arrangement is called acropetal. Such arrangement is called acropetal. I hope you got it, right? I will repeat again. Older flowers or the larger flowers are at the base of the stem. Young flowers or smaller flowers are at tip or apex of the stem. Such type of arrangement is called acropetal, right? So if you look at the arrangement of buds, you can say, or I can write arrangement of flowers. If you take arrangement of flowers, it is of two types. What is the first one? It's called acropetal. What is the first one? It's called acropetal. Then the second one is called basipetal. Basipetal arrangement. Okay. So what you find here? Acropetal arrangement. Here what do you find? Acropetal arrangement. What you find here? Basipetal arrangement. Acropetal, you all got it. Quite reverse of this is basipetal. Okay. So why do you call here acropetal? Because I am writing down again, opening of flowers. Opening of flowers. Better I will write up. Okay, better let me make it. Opening of flowers occurs from base to apex. Very important. Opening of flowers occurs from base to apex means at the base first. At the base first flowers will open, then apex. Then the flowers present in the apex will open. Opening of the flowers are from base to apex. I am writing again here. Opening of flowers. From where to where? From base to apex. I hope you got it. What is this? Opening of flowers from where to where? From base to apex. Meaning because older flowers are present at the base, first they will get open, then slowly these flowers will get open, and then flowers present in the apex will get open. So what do you say? Opening of the flowers from where to where? From base to apex. Okay, opening of flowers from base to apex. Why? Older or larger flowers are present at the base of the stem. Younger or small flowers are present at the tip of the stem. Opening from where to where? From base to apex is called acropetal arrangement. Acropetal arrangement, opening from base to apex, because older flowers are at the base, younger flowers are at the tip. Apex means what here? Apex also meaning the tip. Right. Now, This is called first type, acropetal arrangement. Then what is basipetal arrangement here? Now in this case I can say opening of flowers. Opening of flowers from where to where? From apex to or tip to base. Okay. So what is basipetal? Towards base. Opening of flowers occurs from where to where? Occurs from apex to base. Why? What is basipetal arrangement? Now if you look at the basipetal arrangement here, so I can draw here. Now what you can see here? Now you can see older flowers or larger flowers. Where they are present? They are present at the apex. Apex means tip. Then what about the younger flowers? Younger or smaller flowers are present at the base. What is important here? The older flowers are present at the apex. You can see older flowers, larger flowers are present at the apex. The younger flowers or the smaller flowers are present at the base. So opening is from where to where? Which flowers will open first? The older which find at the apex they open, then slowly the younger ones will open. That means opening of the flowers from apex or tip to base. Older flowers will open first, then followed by younger flowers. So whenever you find opening of the flowers from the apex or tip to base, it's called basipetal arrangement. What it is called as? It is called a basipetal arrangement. What is basipetal arrangement? Opening of the flowers from apex to base. That means older flowers are present at the tip or apex. Younger flowers or smaller flowers are at the base. First older flowers will open, next flowers open, then lastly at the base. So opening of the flowers from apex to base, it's called as what? Basipetal arrangement. I hope now you got very clear clarity between acropetal arrangement, basipetal arrangement, right? Let me say again, what is inflorescence we are talking about? We started with inflorescence. What is inflorescence? Arrangement of buds on the main axis is called inflorescence. Then what do you call the main axis? Main axis is called peduncle. What do you call the stalk of the flower? It's called pedicel. Right? Main axis with flowers is called peduncle. Stalk of the flower it's called pedicel. Now, if you look at buds develops into flowers. Buds develops into later flowers. Now, let us talk about arrangement of flowers. How flowers are arranged? Now, we can see two types of arrangement. What is the first one we call? Acropetal arrangement, and the second one is called basipetal arrangement. What is acropetal arrangement? I will repeat again. Acropetal arrangement means here the opening of the flowers occurs from base to apex. Why? Because at the base, if you look at, this is base of the stem. What you can see in the base of the stem? You can see older or larger flowers are present at the base of the stem. A bigger flowers, first formed flowers which are nothing called older flowers, larger flowers are present at the base. Right. Now, if you go from base to apex, base to tip, what you can see? The flowers in different sizes. Now, you can see young flowers or smaller flowers are present at the tip or apex of the stem. These are young flowers. These are young flowers are present where? At the tip or apex. Then who will open first? Opening of the flowers from older flowers, that is from base to apex. That means older flowers opens first, then next flowers open, then next flowers open, then younger flowers, right? Such type of arrangement means opening of the flowers from base to apex because of larger flowers at the base, younger flowers at the apex. Such type of arrangement is called acropetal arrangement. Okay, such type of arrangement is called acropetal arrangement. Make it reverse, you will get what is called as basipetal arrangement. Now what you find in basipetal arrangement here? The opening of the flowers from apex or tip to the base. That means here you see now this is peduncle. Older or larger flowers are at the apex, are at the tip, are at the tip. Where are the young flowers, newly born flowers or new buds? The smaller young buds are at the base. Right. So, opening of the flowers happening from where to where? First the older flowers present at the tip opens and next flowers buds opens, next buds open and you find the young buds get opened into flowers. Opening happens from where to where? Opening happening from apex to base. Opening happening from apex to base. Such type is called basipetal arrangement. Towards apex is called acropetal, towards base is called basipetal arrangement. So this is what we talk about arrangement of flowers, two types, acropetal, basipetal. What you can do is, you can take one plain paper, horizontally or vertically what you can do, draw a clear diagram showing the older flowers at the base, younger flowers, write down this is called acropetal. Make note of all the points. Similarly, you write about a basipetal arrangement, draw the diagram, draw the older flowers apex, younger flowers at the base, then you have to write that one as a basipetal arrangement and note down all the points. Why? Because next in the classes when we move forward about inflorescence, I will be keep using the terminologies. Acropetal I will write, flower is acropetal, then you have to remember this diagram in your mind. Oh, acropetal means this is the arrangement. So at that time we don't define what is acropetal because now in the basic part we are discussing. Whenever I write in the coming classes, flower is acropetal means immediately you have to recollect this diagram. Similarly, whenever I write the flower is basipetal, you have to recollect this diagram in your mind. But remember, mostly what we find is nothing but acropetal. In very rare cases, in rare types, we find what is called basipetal. Most common one is called as what? Acropetal. So we started with inflorescence. Guys, make a clear note of acropetal and basipetal are the two types which come under arrangement of flowers.